Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all having a great day and that you are all doing well. We have some very interesting news today, and without further ado, let's jump right into it. The Chicago Board Options Exchange, or the CBOE, has announced that it will no longer offer any new Bitcoin futures contracts moving forward amid declining volumes. But since this derivative product was USD issued or settled, many commentators are bullish on the news. So if people have no idea what that even means, the Chicago Board Options Exchange, usually referred to just as the CBOE, decided in 2017 that they were going to launch something called Bitcoin futures, where you could bet on the future price of Bitcoin. Is exactly how it sounds. You can either bet for it or against it. People said that this was going to be a major problem. Bitcoin actually spiked on this news of Bitcoin actually getting a futures through a relatively well-known organization, company, whatever you kind of want to call them. Part of the problem is that we learned that the Bitcoin futures would actually not be physically settled, i.e., people would not be swapping Bitcoin back and forth amongst themselves or through the contracts. It would simply be someone could say, if Bitcoin's price is $15,000, currently in the real world, they could say, and all their other friends, hey, we think that Bitcoin is only worth $2,000, so we're going to bet against it. If everyone did that, Bitcoin in the real world would actually start declining in price because people felt that it was overvalued. And also, when they were settling these things, it was actually just in US dollars. So there was never any cryptocurrencies back and forth. So it was usually an extreme negative for Bitcoin, because not only were they not dealing in Bitcoin, you could also bet against it. And even when it was settled, we didn't even see it on our actual volume page where you can see like the prices of cryptocurrencies, because it was all denominated in paper money. The Chicago Futures Exchange, or the CFE, of the Chicago Board Options Exchange, or the CBOE, has revealed it will no longer offer any new contracts for its cash-settled XBT Bitcoin futures product moving forward. However, existing contracts will still be available for trading, the latest of which are set to expire in June of this year. The exchange will now evaluate whether XBT futures and possibly other digital derivative products will see the light of day in the future. They said CFE is not adding a CBOE Bitcoin USD XBT futures contract for trading in March 2019. CFE is assessing its approach with respect to how it plans to continue to offer digital asset derivatives for trading. While it considers the next steps, CFE does not currently intend to list additional XBT futures contracts for trading. Currently listed XBT futures contracts remain available for trading until the end date, which is apparently in June. The announcement may not come as a surprise given the declining volume of XBT that was rolled out to much fanfare in December 2017, right here, when Bitcoin's price hit its astronomically all-time high of $20,000 US. Since launch, XBT has been losing ground to the Bitcoin futures from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, or the CME, whose volume has dwarfed XBT in recent months, despite being starting kind of at the same exact place. There's a chart over here for those who are looking at the screen, or for those who are not. The blue one is, I believe, the CME, and the ones who are stopping their Bitcoin futures contract are the light blue ones with the constantly declining volume, even amidst the huge rocketing sometimes from the actual CME. When we first heard about Bitcoin futures, it sounded like a very interesting, amazing, wonderful thing. This is what part of the reason why Bitcoin's price shot up, because it was the level of validation, air quotes, that we had gotten from the traditional financial space. And this is why part of the reason why a lot of people are kind of like, hey, why isn't Bitcoin going up now? Because if you have the CBOE and the CME announcing that they're going to be launching Bitcoin futures products that won't even be trading Bitcoin, and then the price skyrockets up to 20,000, but you have the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ and the other 8 stock exchanges around the world who are going to be either having cryptocurrency trading desks or actual Bitcoin futures that will be physically settled. One would assume that Bitcoin's price would also react positively because people are actually going to be using the token. This is not a bad thing that this is ending, like, at all. I would prefer not to have many other, rather, if stock exchanges and corporate entities do plan on, and they will in the future, plan on offering Bitcoin related projects or contracts or derivatives, it would be great if they did it physically with the Bitcoin. And this is why we have so much talking around people making not fake Bitcoin, but whatever the case might be, This is not a bad thing. It's nice to hear that it's ending. I assume in the future, when volume across the broader market, and that means our market, does start to go back up and starts to flourish once again, people will have renewed interest in being able to trade Bitcoin futures that are not physically settled and that are denominated in US dollars. It is what it is. We can't really stop it. We can't really write a strongly worded letter to the CBOE telling them to stop it. We care more about decentralization. Anyway, this is kind of good news. A lot of people think that this could have I mean, hands in the air, like actually my hands are in the air. People think that this could have a beneficial effect on the price of Bitcoin, as it could lead the way for some other product being released and or launched that announces that they're going to be physically using Bitcoin, and therefore it could create some type of a upward price swing, but that is yet left to be seen. Next up, here's a really interesting one. The European Central Bank, or the ECB, the central bank of the Union of 19 countries in the European Union, has stated that Bitcoin is not money despite its popularity in the continent. He further stated that they are within their rights as a central bank to print money and to devalue currency. In a hashtag AskECB campaign on Twitter, the ECB aimed to address the concerns of their populace but ended up riling up the cryptocurrency community. The dual and successive admission paint a rhetorical and insightful picture of the relationship between the digital currency world and the banking elite. Without reading through all of that, the European Central Bank's official Twitter account wrote, "The technology behind it, Bitcoin, looks promising for many industries, but Bitcoin is not money." People were and this is, we've heard this many other times before, and this actually is really interesting how this ties almost directly into what we were talking about over the last week. At least 2 or 3 times we've had before this. Banks around the world, especially central banks. What was the other consortium that we had of 60 central banks who decided to randomly just announce, hey, cryptocurrencies suck. We don't like them. Why is everyone using crypto? We didn't hear from these banks or institutions for a very long time. And when we did hear from them before, it was always the idea that cryptocurrencies were not a threat. No one was going to use Bitcoin. Why would Bitcoin be a thing? And then I made the other video where I was talking about, it's interesting that all these other central banks keep saying that no one's going to use it, and then you have all these other mega entities who are clearly getting into it. So people were asking them questions, and they were responding back, and they said, as a central bank, we can create money to buy assets, and then they gave a hashtag AskECB. I think one of the final ones that they said, it says, it is up to governments, companies, and households to take investment decisions. As a central bank, we can only influence the overall financing conditions of the economy. It's kind of weird that, what I found is that a lot of institutions or companies or even banks, central banks, who are completely out of touch with like normal people and like actually how we live, I think they try to do these things like trying to create Twitters or like create Instagrams when they're like 90 years old. That's not a joke either. That's actually a thing that's happening right now for these major institutions. I think they're so out of touch with reality and with life that they're trying desperately to make it seem like they're young, cool, and hip, and that they can kind of, we know what we're doing with the Twitter. We can definitely send you a tweet and so, blah, 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 blah. But they end up making themselves look kind of weird at the exact same time. I mean, you can't really expect much from the European Central Bank. Certain banks around the world have already bent the knee. That sounds a bit more like English. And kind of have them admitted, crypto is kind of the wave of the future. We know exactly where this is going. We're going to start integrating it, or they've at least admitted that they are going to start integrating blockchain into their systems and their platforms. We have a bit of a way to go when it comes to the actual like mega central banks. It kind of is what it is. We know where crypto is going. They know where crypto is going. And it's nice to see that at least they're trying to win the war by sending tweets telling us that they can print money as they wish. Kind of weird, right? Anyway, let's move on. Next up, Qtum or Qtum is in the news. The price has skyrocketed. People were kind of trying to figure out why. There's the tweet from the Qtum official Twitter. Sorry, the air is like super dry here. It says, great news, hashtag Qtum. Holders can now use Qtum to pay at all shops via Apple Pay and Samsung Pay using Zeus app. I assume that's pretty sure it's supposed to be Zeus and not Zeus. Zeus app, and here's a little photo. It says Qtum plus Zeus equals emoji heart. So this seems to be the reason why the price was going up. They said, we think so, and that's why we are pleasantly pleased Zeus has added Qtum to their app to allow just that to happen with their official launch in the UK and a soft launch in the rest of the United Kingdom. I mean, the European Union. Wow. Friends in the US, you will have to wait a bit longer. Not a surprise because everything takes a bit longer in the States. Anyway, the price of Qtum is, I mean, you can't really tell because of the current market trends. However, the price is actually reacting to this. Once again, just a very weird conundrum in the cryptocurrency space. You can have news that you are added to an app and that people can now use you through Apple Pay and Samsung Pay, and your price shoots up dramatically, and you can have news that you are being listed on worldwide stock exchanges and your price goes down. However, Qtum or Qtum is not something that we rarely ever hear about in the news, but it is nice to hear. I'm happy that if nothing else, altcoins are finally starting to move up. We had such crazy great news for so many altcoins over the course of 2018. It did nothing to the prices. People are screaming that it's altcoin season. That's still yet to be seen. However, I'm optimistic. I don't mind altcoins moving up by themselves, even if they are completely separate from Bitcoin's price. It's fairly obvious right now. I'm pretty sure you can all feel the same exact thing. I think the bear market has gone on long enough, and I think this is why we see altcoins decoupling, air quotes, if you will, from the price of Bitcoin. Rather, they're not following Bitcoin as tightly before, because you can't get major good news and your price just kind of not react. People were commenting on that yesterday with, what's it called? It's not important. I had a brain fart. Anyway, let's move on. Next up. Estonia-based Nasdaq-powered digital trading platform DX.Exchange is claiming an industry first with its launch of security token trading and security token offerings, or STOs. The development was shared with Cointelegraph yesterday. As previously reported, DX.Exchange went live in January with support for various fiat and cryptocurrency trading pairs and tokenized stocks. In March, the platform added tokenized exchange-traded funds, or ETFs, to its supported products. According to the press release, the platform now allows users to purchase security tokens using both fiat and major crypto, such as Bitcoin, Ethereum, Tether, and XRP. Following this latest development, DX Group will also reportedly restructure into a new entity called DX Tech Exchange. Security token trading represents the latest offering enabled by DX Tech Exchange's existing partnership agreement with Cyprus-regulated broker MPS Marketplace Securities Limited, which has thus far enabled the platform's provision of tokenized stocks and ETFs. The major news being they are now apparently, I think everyone, this is the next step. These platforms are launching. I told you guys yesterday that everyone is trying to partner with the New York Stock Exchange, and normally usually with the NASDAQ, to say that they are using their technology and therefore in some sort of way have partnered with them, because I assume the NASDAQ has its stuff patented, and they are only the ones allowed to use it. This is why it's a very big news, air quotes, when we get something about another exchange around the world who is using the NASDAQ technology, and therefore they are in some way partnered with NASDAQ. They are now starting to list, everyone's starting to try to tokenize things as fast as possible to have more of these things on their platform. And this is why we also had news a couple of days ago that people are trying to tokenize stocks, bonds, mutual funds before they start tokenizing, cars, homes, beans. I don't think that's what, anyway, onto their platforms, because now everyone is of the complete mindset that everything is going to run on a more digital world, if you kind of want to say that, and everyone kind of wants to have their platform kind of come out first. But the other major news is that while they are listing or offering security tokens, pretty much anything that, I'm not going to go into what a security is, you should know that by now, is that you can now also buy them with cryptocurrencies, which also further adds liquidity to our markets, as we know that NASDAQ is also trying to, or going to, release their own cryptocurrency trading platform thing this month? Next month? No one really knows. They haven't given us a proper date, but yeah. Let's move on. Next up, Stellar's in the news. Longtime Mozilla Chief Operating Officer Denell Dixon has officially joined the crypto ecosystem. Dixon has joined the Stellar Development Foundation as CEO of the nonprofit organization, which promotes the top 10 cryptocurrency Lumens. She will succeed the project's creator, Jed McCaleb, who has moved to the role of chief architect, in which he'll focus on product growth, protocol growth, and adoption strategies. In a statement to CoinDesk, Dixon said her goal will be to listen, learn, support, and do. I want to help move Stellar to the place it seeks to be, and that's how it starts. More to come once I start. She said, "This is my first role in the crypto space. It's awesome and exciting." McCaleb said in a press release that Dixon's long experience leading operations in business at Mozilla, as well as her work on the policy side with advocacy around open internet and encryption and privacy, will be indispensable to the SDF in the coming years. So this is also making very big news. Stellar is not something that we hear about in the news as often as other coins. We don't hear about it as often as Bitcoin. We don't hear about it as often as Ethereum or XRP. And sometimes even Litecoin kind of is in the news more often than Stellar. I feel like something really big is brewing behind the scenes. It seems very weird that so much of this is happening so close together. I feel like that they have been trying to do something through the entirety of 2018, which is smart of them as prices were going down. There's too much good news happening with Stellar. There's too many acquisitions, too many new companies, too many new partners, too much IBM news, too much hinting that something is going to happen from the Stellar Foundation, too many other integrations, too many things with the World Wire. This is all happening within like about a week. It's kind of interesting that all this stuff is tying together. Like I said, Stellar isn't something that's typically in the news on a daily basis or even like a bi-weekly basis. We don't hear about it as often. However, I wonder what's brewing behind the scenes. I am interested in seeing exactly what IBM does. I don't assume that IBM's World Wire thing will kind of be a flop. We know that one will be able to use other cryptocurrencies with it, but it appears that their partnership with IBM may be somewhat symbiotic, if you kind of want to say that. Anyway, there's also ties directly into this. The price has surged, and apparently, I can't confirm this. I tried looking around for more information, but I saw something like this on the news yesterday. Apparently, they're getting a brand new logo. There's like a soft rebranding, if you will. The project recently announced its rebranding plans and change of its popular rocket ship logo. Though the rebranding is set to be launched fully by May, the impact is already being felt. Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff happening with Lumens at the exact same time. I mean, also, yeah, I forgot about that as well. The Coinbase listing. This is all happening day after day after day after day. I'm interested to see exactly how far Lumens can go. Because they're, I think it's because they're not in the news so often that we kind of not lose sight of what they're doing, but it's more like if they're not really in the news and you hear BTC, ETH, XRP every single day. This is why I think it's also so interesting that, you know, even like Qtum is shooting up in price off of, I mean, it's relatively large news. Like it's being integrated, like it means that the coin will be able to be used as a payment option, but it's nice to see that the markets are reacting in some sort of way. Yeah. The prices right now still playing games. Bitcoin refuses to touch 4,000. It's just something that is the way that it goes. Binance coin is always going up. There's not really much news there. I don't know why Cardano's reacting. Haven't really seen anything about it. I may have just skipped over something. Maybe I'll be able to find it. This one right here, crypto.com.